now's the time to circle up our tribe of this amazing fitness industry, come together, and there's plenty for everybody. There's plenty of potential members. There's plenty of opportunities.
Welcome to a special edition of the ATFW podcast. This episode was recorded live on the show floor at the HFA Show, where we sat down with Adam Sedlack, Emma Berry, and Mark Mastrov. In this episode, we get into UFC Gym's global expansion and international pipeline, where growth is happening right now, and Adam's take on what's ahead. We also get into how operators should be thinking about small group training and group fitness instructors, where we're seeing momentum globally, and what that means for programming and staffing. And we close with Mark Mastrov stepping back into 24-hour fitness, including his focus on integrating longevity services into his business. Across all three conversations, you'll also hear their most unfiltered takes on what's happening in the industry right now. Starting with Adam Sedlack, CEO of UFC Gym.
Adam, you kicked off the year with some big announcements. Let's talk about expansion. You and I have talked about global expansion and the aggressive goals that UFC Gym has, but you entered the mainland China market. How is entering that market different from other expansions you've done in the past?
Well, that's a softball question to start me off with. Well, first, we're very excited about the Paramount deal that UFC just accomplished. And what that does is it drives global distribution, and it really widens the funnel for more of a mainstream impression, which is exciting. China, we were actually in pre-COVID, and then the mall that the location was in got shut down during COVID. And it really put them in a difficult position. So now we have 2 sites that are going to be opening up in the next 90 days or so in China. But that's just the start. Like, we are literally going everywhere around the globe. We got Ecuador, Mexico, India, 2 sites in Pakistan happening. France is coming. Ireland is doing a site. And so literally in the next, Spain, 6 locations. In the next 90 days, we're going to announce probably a total of 35 locations.
Well, and I know when we talk about aggressive goals, you're at what, over 171 locations so far. Goal is to hit that 1,000 mark. So it sounds like things on track.
Well, and when you say 1,000, that's the big, hairy, audacious goal. But really, it's about, now that I've matured a little bit and gotten older, it's really about these relationships that we're developing with franchisees around the globe. It's the relationship that we have with UFC, like Dana White and all these UFC athletes. It's the relationship with the consumer, where we're now doing 1.5 million check-ins a month. And so all of that's coming together. It's intersecting together to create a really special community of respect. You know, there's the gym industry is so amazing. We have so many amazing companies that do an incredible job to the consumer base, and we're just honored to be part of it.
Well, it's not the only thing you're a part of. I had the chance to catch up with Bob Thomas last week, and it was interesting because several months prior, he was talking about peptides and kind of one of the first to stand in the conversation and really stand behind it. And then lo and behold, UFC Gym keeping me busy with all these press wires I have to write articles on, because you announced the partnership with NextGen MD. Obviously, the GLP space, peptides, longevity is huge. Why was this approach the right move and the right partnership to enter the arena, so to speak, to use a fighting term?
Great question. So we went all in on recovery about 7 years ago. And we really initially focused on things like cryotherapy, compression, red light, hot sauna, right? All the what I would call mainstream modalities. And then you started to see peptides emerge. And it's a little tricky with the UFC, right? Because they have professional athletes. And so we have to make sure that the right boundaries are set up to properly process it, especially from an athletic point of view. But as you take a look at finishing off the holistic objective of what recovery is, peptides and IV and all those things are just the next natural level. And with what Robert Kennedy's doing in office right now with regards to the scheduling, it makes it an amazing opportunity. And to me, it really fulfills where the consumer needs to go now, right? They have the recovery, they have all the classes, they have all the equipment. They have all the nutrition, the supplementation, and now this really complements kind of the last puzzle piece to get the consumer to maximize their results in the least amount of time.
How excited is your staff to step into this arena or have a really strong partner in it?
They're fired up. I mean, Bob, as you know, he's an expert, and his team is absolutely wonderful to work with. They are great at project management. They've dotted their I's and crossed their T's on all the legal potential risks that are involved. They've been great to work with, and their distribution channel is massive. So, yeah, we're gonna be driving that very quickly, very aggressively across the UFC Gym organization.
Amazing. And now 2026, what's your most controversial opinion right now about the fitness industry?
Boy, you're putting me on the line. You know, what interests me the most is pricing. And we all know that in order to maximize your consumer funnel, you're at $9.99 a month. And every time you go up in dollars, it reduces your funnel. So it's really interesting to see all the players coming in and how they're mixing the lower price point with their value proposition to see how the consumer reacts. And so UFC Gym is no different. We're really now getting very aggressive on how we price our gyms. We have these massive workout floors now that could be 40 to 55,000 square feet. And then we have the entry pricing to be competitive with all the other players out there, but we're able to go up to $134 a month on the high end for the premium position like jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, and all those variables. And so I think pricing is the one that's going to be the most debated because when you look at a beautiful state like California that has beautiful operating expenses and beautiful taxes, you get that labor's not getting any less expensive. But it's not just labor, it's the cost of doing business in a state like California. You have property taxes, you have all sorts of other expenses hitting your bottom line. So the ability to use price elasticity and the ability to understand how to properly control your operating expenses and get to the right customer acquisition levels will be the key.
All right, last one here from your vantage point, the biggest opportunity that's in front of the fitness industry right now.
Empathy. I really believe that. I think we're all so busy growing and expanding, and sometimes when you get into growth mode, and listen, the U.S., as I see fitness across the globe, the U.S. is by far the hottest fitness market on planet Earth. Penetration levels continue to be at all-time record highs. But I think when you're growing a business, no matter if it's UFC or any other business, sometimes you forget about the fundamentals of empathy and really caring about the consumer and caring about your team member. And I think we all have to work together to make sure that the team feels the growth of the industry the right way, right? And it's so easy. I call it lazy leadership, when you just drive people without the right story, without the right education, without the right information, without the right motivation. And I think now's the time to circle up our tribe of this amazing fitness industry, come together, and there's plenty for everybody. There's plenty of potential members, there's plenty of opportunities, and there's so many new innovations that are going to be coming our way. It's just about execution through people in our members.
Next, we hear from Emma Berry on small group training, the role of instructors, and where global growth is actually showing up.
Emma, obviously you're an industry legend here, but the rightfully earned, especially when you get to have Chief of Trouble. But it's a really interesting time for the industry. You know, a couple of years ago, it was all about the recovery, then the momentum. But it really seems like we're heading into this explosive crescendo. So where do you think we are in the momentum cycle?
You know, it's funny, there's so many people from around the world right now, and they're all saying they cannot believe what's happening in the US right now, because we're at this intersection of, you know, AI. Of course, we're all feeling it, every industry, you know, no doubt. GLP-1's gone super popular, especially since the Super Bowl, right? So we've got Serena and everyone else pushing stuff, so GLP-1s are in. We've got the medical community finally coming together a little bit more with the health and wellness, and there's industry leaders on both sides really trying to come in and handhold on that. And, you know, people like Lifetime and things like that have been doing that, and that's beginning to mainstream. Then we've got generational shifts. So we've got all the youth coming in. We've got influencer culture. So all of these things are sort of coming in at the same time. And of course, America being quite quick moving in all of these spaces, we feel it most keenly here. And so everyone's been commenting on that. So that's the world that we're in right now. And I think we're just not used to the acceleration of it. It's very exciting. Everyone in every industry, be it HVLP right up to boutiques and luxury lifestyle in the middle, they're all coming back. Footfall is up, but we have to do a better and better job on serving our members. And also the member that might have never been a member in the past. If I am a GLP-1 person, maybe there's a level underneath. I'm a beginner. I'm a person who would never see myself in a gym. So I think there's a whole new set of services that we need to get really good at delivering.
I mean, you're saying here the buzz and momentum in the US, but you do have a global pulse. So where do you feel the next ripple might be?
There are other hot spots around the world that are even hotter than here, I would say. Like Southeast Asia is on fire. And I think a lot of their trajectory across, you know, whether it's boutique fitness or clubs or, you know, the adoption of wellness, like there are hot spots. Like if you look at some of the growth spikes over there, they're blowing us out of the water. So there's places like that. Bits of Germany, I would say, like Germany's definitely on a rise. We're seeing Pilates reach into lots of different areas. If you go into Eastern Bloc, like Poland, Romania, like there's little bits of growth there, or quite big growth. So I just think the whole world is sort of, is a dawning of a new age. And every life cycle is going to be slightly different because we're at a different level of, you know, life cycle of fitness, tech adoption, those sorts of things. You go to Southeast Asia, very advanced in some cases, and mainland Asia as well. So just lots of things happening, And
with lots of things happening, it also means a lot of choice. And another thing that was so interesting when AI stepped into the arena, the first few conferences were very high level. There's this thing, maybe we use it to help with some of our back end workflow, maybe with our marketing strategies. But now we have a ton of players in the space. And yes, a semblance of an AI bubble, which could be challenging for some operators to figure out where to go. So where do you think, when it comes to the tech stack, has the biggest opportunity to actually move the needle with revenue or retention?
Right, so I think, look, you've got to shop the market. Well, first of all, you've got to educate yourself. You've got to work out what is it in our business, where can we drive efficiencies and still really protect those human moments that we need to have, whether it is at the front desk. And there's businesses that have a front desk and don't have a front desk. I've got no judgment around that because it depends on your brand. But then right throughout the whole system, what are all the operations that should be done by a machine? Whether it's, you know, repetitive big data sets or repetitive things that we shouldn't be having people, anything that's sitting in the back office, like we really should be finding a smarter way to do that. So first of all, understand it. So don't get fearful, lean into it and go, I got to learn this. It's like television coming in, oh, the world's going to end, internet coming in, the world's going to end, AI, oh, the world's going to end, the machines are coming. No, lean into it, switch fear for, you know, feedback, get in there, talk to operators, and especially leaders. Like, if you're talking about it in a judgmental way, start learning more, because then you will have your own agents and you'll understand, you know, where agentic AI can fit into your organisation. Shop the market, you know, just do it in little bits, take your whole team with you, and then just work out what are the efficiencies that are going to make sense for my business so that we can look after those human moments, serve the member, put the member at the centre. If you haven't, then you're in the wrong business. You know, just really think it through, and you've got to take a step back as well. So I would do that, and then I would also speak with some other people who are in a like business to you, doesn't even have to be the same industry, and just see what they're doing, because there's so many efficiencies, but then you've got to step a little bit carefully as well, because you make a decision and it's investment of time, money, resources, mental capacity, all of that stuff. So I'd just say probably do it that way.
I love a lot of your points there, especially about the comparisons with other industries, because we're all learning together in real time. Yeah. But when it comes to learning, it's really about exploring how can we address our pain points. And we're seeing, for example, HVLP have explosive growth. And then on the other side, boutique had a few steps behind in their recovery. We've seen some modalities maybe struggle a little bit. What are the biggest pain points in that space right now?
Look, I think it's unit economics, and it's just really, if you don't have a strong enough proposition, like it's got to be really powerful. You've got to know who you are, you've got to deliver it consistently, and you've got to have a really high level of service in delivering that, you know, however many heads it is, whatever the process is. So the product's got to be great. then you've just got to run a great business. You know, you've got to have full funnel, you've got to be serving, you've got to be repeat businessing. And we know that. I think the stats, you know, and speaking with Lisa and the team at Studio Grow, for example, there's a lot of people not making good money out of boutique, or they're over-relying on the class passes of the world, and therefore you don't own the community and it's at a discounted rate. Now, you've just really got to know your numbers. Like, you've got to be making enough money and have a strong enough community for it to roll forward, so that when you use these aggregators and other things, that they're adding to that. They're not taking away or, you know, owning your community, or you just have discount hunters who are never going to convert to your particular flavour of what you do. So you've got to run a great business, and that's the same in any business. And I think it's very competitive now because you've got some big players who are consolidating, and that gives them, you know, they can do quantities of scale, they can buy things cheaper, they can get, you know, arm wrestle for better locations and things like that. So you've got to run a great business. You've got to have a great product, a great team, and you've just got to keep finding those consistencies and efficiencies.
To your point of that, when we talk about that, Pilates has been the tippity top for some time. And even just looking around, there's a lot of competition and saturation entering the market. So where do you feel that runway is? Because, for example, on the flip side, we've seen spin was having a moment several years ago, and that's died down.
We're humans. We get bored, and stuff comes and stuff goes, and that has always been our industry. Cycling will come back. You know, it hasn't gone in some places, it has in others. It will come back because it's one of the simplest ways to get a fantastic exercise, and there'll be other ways that it's expressed. So I know that will happen. It's the mini skirt. It keeps coming back. Like, it'll keep coming back. Pilates is interesting. I think if we look at the class pass data, so last 3 years it's been the #1 category. That's still continuing. It will probably in the next maybe 18 months, 2 years, will start to saturate in some markets, as these things do, as they always do. It's just trends. And at that space, there will be more quality required, and the good operators will stay and the bad ones won't make it, and the clubs will do a better job, and it will remain. It's a 100-year-old practice. It's not going anywhere. But of course it'll have a moment. It will ease off at some point. It will saturate, and then there'll be a little bit more consolidation of the market, like is always the way. Cycles will come back. There'll be other things. Recovery the same. That's going through the same boutique cycle. But again, clubs are bringing it in. Longevity is playing into the club, and, you know, all of these things. So I think that's where I think it will start happening. Other places it hasn't even really touched. So I think there'll be waves of adoption that just keep going around the world a little bit, and it will stay as a main exercise, but like anything, there will be a moment of right sizing.
What's exciting you most opportunity-wise for the industry right now?
Honestly, I'm spending a lot of time thinking about, like, whenever there's a shift, a seismic shift in all the macro trends like now, AI's coming in, all the jobs are evaporating. I mean, I'm being dramatic, but you get the point. What is the new world going to be? So I'm incredibly excited right now around what the new fitness professional is going to offer. I personally think that anyone who's in group fitness or personal training, small group training, we are the cheerleaders of the world. We are the people who can command a room, we can pull together a community, and I think that's going to be our role going forward, and we're armed with a whole lot of information. Now, if I was going to be a fit pro in the next few years, if I was starting my career again and I really wanted to just do good in this industry, I would be tapping into technology. I mean, I represent brands that create marketplaces for people to find work and learn and be relevant and travel the world, because that's what hashtag living my best life. Like, I want to be free. I want to do the shit that I want to do, and I don't want to do the other stuff. And I want to be fluid and learn stuff. Like, we all know we need purpose. So I can see a world where there's a new job for a group fitness. It might be personal training or whatever. We're going to have digital tools, so that if I was going to be a fit pro in the future, I might say, I'm going to become a women's health specialist. I'm going to take small groups like Tupperware Party. I'm going to go to communities and I'm going to run these little groups. I'm going to coach them on peptides and hormones and GLP-1s and all of these things in a safe environment where we talk and we take these learnings and then we apply them to our own situation. We're all a category of one, and we all need to get our personalised data and then create a path, but we need the support. So I think we're going to be the community of the future, which is sort of like a personal trainer, sort of like a group fitness instructor, but I think something new. The model's broken. We're seeing all the clubs trying to strip out staff because they just can't afford them. And then even if you start again, if I'm a great instructor, I'm now competing against what I could be earning as an influencer. So all I've got to beat is $15 an hour or $20 an hour or $40, whatever your brand pays me. which isn't that big a ask. So that's why I say the model has to break, and I think a new model needs to come in. And I think clubs having real estate, I think there's a new way that influencers could be used, that you both win without sacrificing what is important to you. So these are the things that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about in the gig economy. And those are the types of brands that I work with, people who really want to create a different world for staff and also for the members that they serve, whether they be in a brick and mortar or in the community.
Obviously, those conversations are keeping you busy here at HFA. But when and I know we talked before, there's never enough time to see everything on the floor, but what are you most looking forward to checking out, or what's caught your eye so far?
I'm really interested in divergent thinking. Like at the moment, and I'm always like this, there's a big convergence going on right now. So I'm always like what is the white space? You know, I get it. You know, we all run through business and generally in the fitness industry, it's the big boys. The big boys are all buying everything up and pulling it under the portfolio, and you know we're calling it efficiencies and stuff like that. But what I don't like about that is, even though you go on an acquisition path, you're not always buying the best product. They're often stripping out the service layers once those things come in. And so the end user, are they really getting the most value? So what I'm excited about is, how can the world come together in a way that truly is a win-win-win all the way through, you know, and in the end, the customer has to pay, because that's what funds all of us. But it's like, there has to be I heard Elaine Jobson speak yesterday, and I just love, she comes from heart and people and culture, and that's always been a part of who I am, whether it was with Les Mills or Equinox or Basic Fit or all the brands that I represent. And I think if we can there has to be heart in there. And there was a terrific keynote by Jesse Itzler, which it really resonated with me. You can make your $1 billion, or you can be $1 billion soul, you know, in your soul and who you are. And I think I don't ever want to lose that side of it, because the things that we're so precious about, the soul and why we do this and truly helping people. And we're in the age of transformation. So it's like, all the things that feed that. So I'm just running the floor, just making sure that we retain those human elements, so that's what we should be passing forward. You know, we can have all the big business guys doing all the things and stripping all the costs out, but are we looking after the humans along the way? Because otherwise, as Anthony Robbins said in a recent podcast with Diary of a CEO, he's like, otherwise it ends in violence. If we all lose our purpose and something to do that's meaningful in our lives because everything's been stripped out, that's not a happy place. And we've all known people or been that person who's slightly misaligned, and it's not a good place. So let's think about the humans as this whole world evolves.
And finally, Mark Mastrov on returning to 24-hour fitness and bringing longevity services into his business models.
On the show floor, everyone's seeing 24-hour fitness, and we're back on the back. Number one, how does it feel to know that you innovated this industry and now you get to return where you started in a whole new fashion?
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know that I innovated the industry, but a lot of people came before me. The Rudy Smiths, the Don Wildmans, the Ray Wilsons, Vic Tannies. There's so many great operators I had a chance to meet and mentor with and spend time with to learn the tools of the trade, so to speak.
But you did innovate the 24-hour concept.
I guess you could say, look, we opened our clubs around the clock, which was different and unique at the time. We went to monthly billing through a draft process, through your checking account or your bank cards. That was interesting and new. And then we built big facilities that were different at the time. But, you know, it's evolved, and the industry continues to evolve.
Of course it does, and that's the whole point. You did something then that nobody had done before. Now you're returning and obviously decided to step in and make that decision. So what does the new era look like? Why did you want to attack it when, truthfully, you didn't have to?
Yeah, I mean, I love the challenge. I love the industry. I don't want to sit at home and waste my day. So I really love working. I went to my wife and said, hey, look, I have this opportunity. She was more excited than I was because we had so much fun when we were with 24 back in the day. So we're excited about that. But ultimately, you know, as you kind of look at what do we become, what do we morph into, what do we change to, it's kind of like we know where we were, we know where we are, we got to decide where it is we want to go. And once we figure that out, then it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Was there anything in particular, because that was your baby, and then you exit and somebody else takes the wheel, that you're really excited to dig in and perhaps recalibrate?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, let's say you're a basketball coach and you put in a kid to be the point guard and everything's going fantastic. He goes down with an injury, he leaves, you put in the next one, didn't work, the next one didn't work, next one didn't work. And so 24 has gone through a lot of, you know, call it CEOs. They finally landed on Carl Sampt, who's awesome. And so I look at it like this is a company with a team that I really think I can work with and enjoy and partner with. And so you got the right point guard in with Carl now, and I just got to be the coach to help him kind of get to the end game.
Well, that's not the only thing you're growing out. We had many conversations on GLP and its evolution in time, and obviously peptides are having their massive moment. And so the partnership with NextGen MD and UFC Gyms was a big announcement just the other week. Tell me a little bit about why this was the right play for the longevity space under your umbrella.
Yes, I mean, everybody's walking in the door, not everybody, the vast majority of people are walking in the door saying, hey, what do you know about peptides? What do you know about NAD? What do you know about IV therapy? What do you think about GLP-1s? And so we got to get in and understand that and give the feedback to our member and to our consumer to say, here's what we see, learn, here's where we recommend you go, learn and educate yourself, and here's some products you might want to try. So it's kind of a partnership to bring in some experts. This is what they do for a living. They understand it from the medical side, the health side, and see if we can enhance our members and our team members, work out their programs, their lives, their longevity.
How aggressively are you looking to scale that? And could you see that going into other portfolios in your umbrella?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking at it. There's some things we're looking at too for, and I'm talking to a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of stuff coming down the road. It'll be very interesting. But Adam's done that at UFC Gyms. He's kind of jumped the broom, so to speak. He's ahead of everybody, and he's doing good work. So it'll be fun to see what they do.
What's your most controversial opinion in the fitness industry right now?
I think we hear is the middle back, right? You got low end, which is, call it $15 to $30. Crunch, Planet Fitness, EOS, Choose, some guys like that. You got the high-end Lifetime, $380. You've got Equinox, $300 to $400. And is the middle gone? Is 24 Fitness, LA Fitness, and others gone from the $40 to $60 range? That's probably the one that's out there.
Stay fit. Stay informed. Keep your fitness business in shape. This is the ATFW podcast by Krissy Vann. Find us on LinkedIn, like, share, and follow.